Taste Funny.
Hello and welcome to Taste Funny Podcast with me, Peter McHugh.
And me, Joe McLaughlin.
This is a podcast where we take a look at an album from each other's collections and discuss, basically. So, shall we preamble?
Yeah, we'll do a little preamble.
Excellent.
There's not much to say, really.
Not much to say we haven't said before.
Yeah, so this is attempt number 2 because I think I might have turned the recording equipment off.
Recording equipment.
It is recording equipment.
You're not wrong, but it's almost as braggadocious as studio when referring to the car.
Yeah.
It's nearly.
I'm not going to say. I mean, there was no claim in there that it's quality. Though to be fair, this is my wife bought me this as a birthday present.
You got a good one.
Tenner.
Yeah.
Tenner.
Good one.
It's not bad for a tenner.
No.
It does the job.
Certainly does.
For all the people that listen, tell you what, if another fucking 20 people listen, I'll buy proper stuff, but I'm not going to.
Ooh.
That's right, only 20. I only need another 20. But there's only a little bit of stuff at the top.
Yeah, not much.
Firstly, want to say hello to Jess.
Yay!
Hi Jess.
Hey Jess.
Thank you for listening. I don't remember if I tweeted you back, but thank you for. She got in touch. She's a friend of a friend of the show, but she's now a friend of the show. But she was a friend of the show.
Yeah.
Who she tweeted us the other day. She's the only person who's tweeted us. I didn't know that. I haven't put this out there that we're on Twitter. Really, I don't think.
No.
I think I cut it out of the last podcast because I couldn't be bothered. Which is
No, I think it was in there.
Was it? Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
I'm
that's
sure
good.
it was in there. I
Well,
remember talking about Sadiq Khan for a bit.
Oh no, we talked about it.
No, I remember listening to
Oh,
it.
did we?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. We talked about Sadiq Khan.
Okay, so Jess tweeted us at Taste Funny Pod if anyone wants to
Yeah.
get in touch, or just call me.
Pop round the house.
Yeah. So, but Jess tweeted us to say she'd listened because she'd found out we were on Overcast, which was good to know because I didn't know that. It's good because I do some admin for this, but I don't do a huge deal.
Yeah, it just sort of propagates by itself.
I just make it and then put it on the internet, and then hope that some kindly soul finds it,
Yeah.
like a baby at the door of an orphanage.
Or some people in New York, maybe.
Yes. So that's the other thing we want to talk about.
Yeah.
For some reason, we seem to have quite a large number of downloads in the New York area, in New York State. I don't think that's anyone I know.
It could possibly be your brother.
My brother did briefly stay in he was there for about 2 or 3 hours on a changeover for his flight, and it would be weird if he had chosen on that occasion to download like each of the podcasts 3 times.
Yeah, it would be odd.
I don't think it was him.
So
if that is you,
yeah, if you are somebody living in the New York and you are listening,
thanks.
Get on. Yeah, thanks. But get on.
Send us a message and let us know who you are and why you are.
Say hi. Recommend an album.
Yeah. Send us some recommendations.
And
that also goes for anybody who doesn't live in New York.
Oh yeah, if you don't live in New York,
send us some recommendations because we haven't really done any of that yet, and we were planning to.
That would be cool.
So that'd be nice.
To do recs from other people would be nice. I think we could both go away and listen to the same thing and compare exactly the same notes. And
this is very true.
That'd be good.
That's admin. We've just done there.
Right.
Bit of shop talk there, guys.
Yeah, a little bit of behind the curtain.
A little bit of behind the curtain.
A little bit of inside baseball.
Oh, he's not a real wizard. So, well, should we just crack straight on then?
But he is a lizard. Right, yeah.
That's the previous podcast.
Is it? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My dog's staring me out. It's hard to work.
So we're joined again by Neith the Pod Dog.
Neith the Pod Dog, yeah.
Neith the Pod Dog. Neith, can you say jingle? Can you say jingle? Can you say jingle?
She can make her ears go up and down when you say, can you say jingle?
This is bad radio, Neith. Bad radio.
Don't bump the mic, dog. Oh,
okay.
Jingle!
So this week, Pete, on this time, because they're not regular now.
No.
They do not get enough fibre, these podcasts.
They do not.
We are going to be discussing, if it's alright with you.
It's fine with me.
The Fire is on the Bird by Jackson Jackson.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Jackson. 2-piece Australian alt pop, alt hip hop group.
You twat.
That's
and Nath.
yeah. Stop knocking the microphone, Nath. Jesus, dog. So I was really apprehensive of this album. I wasn't sure what I was going to get. I have listened to some Cat Empire, of which one of the members of Jackson Jackson is also a member of the Cat Empire. You are a massive fan of the Cat Empire, and then
in fairness, I will stress I love the Cat Empire, but I mainly love their first 2 albums, and everything they've put out since is kind of lackluster.
Yeah,
but those first 2 albums for me are just the most soulful, fun. Like albums that exist. After that, they kind of they lose some of the soul. I don't know if it's production or what. Like it doesn't have the. They're still incredible. Like if you ever see them live, they're a fucking amazing live band.
I would like to.
And they don't lack any of the soul live.
Yeah.
My favourite thing, we saw the Cat Empire, God knows how many years ago, and watching during an instrumental break, Felix, who's the main vocalist for the Cat Empire, watching two girls dancing with each other.
Yeah.
And there was just this kind of look on his face of just like, this is why we make, like, the joy in this music and the joy that people are experiencing at these live events is exactly like, they're one of those bands that, and I think this especially goes for Harry James Angus, who is the main the frontman for Jackson.
Yeah.
He's one of those people. He's like Mariana Spina, he's like Devin Townsend, that they just bleed music. They are music. There's music in their soul, and there's nothing. They can't actually not be music. That is how I. Would, that's how I would put this across.
That's I feel like
that was a bit more gushy of an intro than we gave on the previous version of this.
Was. I mean, here's the thing. Like I say, I listened to Cat Empire. I'm not a massive Cat Empire fan, honestly. I don't hate anything that they've done. I just don't love it, and that's fine. But I think
you need to try harder. That's
I probably do need
opinion.
to re-listen to at least the first Cat Empire album.
Definitely.
What I will say is I very much liked this album, like a lot. Like I really enjoyed this because it was bizarrely worldy and left fieldy and reminded me of a lot of older hip hop, alternative hip hop stuff like Balkan beatbox and weird world music I've listened to, and it was much more enjoyable than I expected it to be, and I mean that's because I didn't really know what to expect. But let's just get stuck in since we're on round 2 anyway. There's a song called, the first song, and it's A Hole in the Garden is what it's called. There's the really great opening of the album, really soft, gentle opening with these really croony, soulful vocals, and the I dug a hole in the garden.
Like an old, like American spiritual kind of chain
gospel-y
gang kind of shit.
I don't know why, just started building. Love it. Really beautiful, really stripped back.
His voice is great.
Yeah, he's a lovely voice. And then they introduce this whole lyrical motif about something deeper underground, something deeper, and it occurs first on this track, but
two of those out.
Fuck you, and it pops up. Fuck off. Something deeper. It pops up quite a lot across the entirety of the album, and there's this lovely organ passage, and then just because they can. They just drop you head first into this sort of hip-hop beat that's been heavily inspired by Bollywood and Indian scales, and this really interesting Indian vibe going on with what will be suitably described henceforth as Will Smith rap, which is to say it was clean and it was not badly rapped.
It wasn't that clean. He does say shit a few times.
Oh yeah, no, he swears, but for the most part, he's very clean lyrically, and he raps well. Like he has good flow, mostly good flow, and he's quite good at writing. But what he writes isn't that interesting to me a lot of the time. It doesn't grab me. It fits well with the album and the music. But the things I find interesting on the album are generally the music, and I prefer his sort of sung vocal to his actual rapped vocal, which,
that's totally reasonable.
I mean, that is what it is.
That is reasonable, to be fair, because I think it's probably the case with. I think we talked about this a little bit with. It must have been Run the Jewels.
Yeah,
it's the only other hip hop album we've covered so far. But when we were, I think we talked about your man from, was it Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park?
Yeah.
And when you listen to the Collision Course remix albums, if you put him next to Jay-Z or Eminem, he is not himself a bad rapper.
No.
But when you put him next to a properly excellent rapper, it sounds a bit sort of lackluster.
Yeah.
And although, because Harry's vocals, like his singing is incredible, but his rap is fine.
Yeah.
And like it's serviceable, and
his rap writing is equally fine. Yeah. In my opinion.
But it's very loosely produced. Like the way it's sung is very loose a lot of the time as well.
Yeah, I mean that's okay.
So it doesn't always.
That doesn't particularly bother. But I also feel like there's almost a sort of cheesy thing going on, which is why it feels like Will Smith to me. It feels a bit. I don't know, just cheesy. I don't know, and that's not. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to get down on Harry's rapping or this album in any way because I really like it. But I don't know. There's just something there. It just feels a bit cheese, but it's a good track, and I like it. And we must now move on to the second track, the International Society of Bad Dancers, which, if you could press a magic button and turn people into music, if I pointed my magic button at Joe and I pressed the button, he would turn into this song. Because Joe is a member of the International Society of Bad Dancers. He is fully willing, at any moment, at the drop of a hat, to just start boogieing and strutting his stuff in the most audacious, bodacious and zero fucks given fashion you've ever seen in your life. It's incredible. It's something I admire about him deeply. We've already had this conversation. He's being quiet and humble this time, as opposed to being like, "Oh, thank you." But genuinely,
I was going to say it's very nice to hear.
I've grown up with Joe, and I have never not known him be willing to bust a ridiculous move at a moment's notice.
Well, it's weird because I have it in my head I was quite a shy child, but that probably isn't actually true.
But I'm more thinking since we got to the age where we could go to pubs and clubs and
That's
drink
very
and go out and boogie. And like the first time I ever went out with you in Sunderland at the that greasy little club, the original Q Club, yeah.
Fucking hell, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, God,
where you could stick to the floor or the ceiling or the walls, just depending on how high you could jump.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good place.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is such a feel good track, man. They genuinely, if there's any track that gets skipped back multiple times on the album, it's definitely this.
Without question.
This is the track you chose
Yeah.
last time for representation. So it has this really weird little jazzy intro thing that goes on, lots of sort of squealing brass and strings, maybe. But then the beat comes in, and the beat just bangs. The beat's just so hard. It's big jungle drummy carnival thing going on, and I genuinely, if you read my notes, I'm finding it hard to write notes because I'm enjoying myself too much.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I think this is one of the most. I think this was the second song I heard by Jackson Jerry. The first one I heard was a song called Dave, which was on a charity album released from. It was like members of the Cat Empire and affiliates released a charity album, and Dave was on that, and that's a fucking great tune. And so I looked up a bit more Jackson, heard this, and I think if I hadn't then gone on to listen to the album, I'd have been a fucking idiot. Yeah. Because regardless of what you think of the whole album, if you don't like this song, you are a soulless.
Yeah, if you can't put this on, and if you're not, because like this, like you say, this is the least me song in the world. I am definitely not a member of the International Society of Bad Dancers or the International Society of Good Dancers, for that matter. I am an International Society of Wallflowers member, and I am proud, and I will stay on the sidelines with my nice pint. Thank you.
But with a song like this, though, it's hard.
But with the song like this, it would become increasingly harder. And I found myself wandering through the park listening to this a couple of days ago, giving it I don't know how to pout with my lips, I don't know how to bump and dip, but when the beat hits, then I don't give a... Oh, I'm dancing in the park.
This is the thing, right? This is the thing, and I have the exact same thing with the Cat Empire. I can point to you exactly the spot.
Yeah.
I was crushing the road. I was crushing the road.
Yeah.
Because I have superpowers.
Yeah.
I remember I was listening to a Cat Empire track years ago on my way to university, the building that we went to university in, and I found myself. I think it was The Rhythm by Cat Empire from the first album, and I found myself just dancing in the middle of the road, and not really being aware that I was doing it. Yeah. And that is very much this album.
The last album that made me do this was The Doe.
Yeah.
Bopping along to The Doe on like a country park or something when I thought I was on my own, and then spotting people out the corner of my eye and being like, oh, I'm boogieing in public.
I'm really glad though that like this was the first. Like I think I said to you before, like this of all the albums I've given you, this is the one I was probably. I don't know about most confident about, but I've certainly been most surprised if you didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I'd have been really interested to hear the reasons that you didn't get on with it.
I mean, you're going to hear some reasons later on as to things I don't think are the best.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I really enjoyed my time with this album. So, so we get into this big, ridiculous drum beat that's just thumping and thundering away there. Yeah, really lovely, jazzy, brassy sections. Lots of this, lots of brass on the album in general. Really, just
he's a trumpet player.
I'm going to be talking about. Well, there you go. Then.
So there's a lot of that.
Yeah, there is a lot of that, and it's really good. The lyrics are light and fun, which fits the tone of the track and the album in general, really. And the drums they are literally there to just make you want to wiggle your ass, and they are fantastic at making you want to do that with your bum. And then there's a scat solo.
Yeah.
Just a casual scat solo, just thrown in there, really slows the pace down a little on this track, just turns the heat down a bit. But it's quite funny. It's quite a funny little solo. And it's really good.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable.
I was never a fan, again, seeing Cat Empire live, watching Harry do scat. I'd never seen scat jazz live before, and I didn't. It was the sort of thing I was like, oh fucking hell. But when watching him do it, I was like genuinely blown away by how fucking cool it was.
Yeah, and some of the scatty stuff that's specifically in Cat Empire is really intense, like proper scatty. Whereas this is a bit more chill. This is like a sort of more just a background note, but it is there and it's quite good.
Also, what I think this for me, this song as well, as a general, like it opens with the people thinking they're too cool at the club.
Yeah.
And that's the whole premise is people thinking they're too cool at the club, and then the guys who just want to have a fucking great time turn up.
I love the way he introduces that character as well, because there's a man over there. It's the whole shadows in the mist.
Gorillas in the mist, shadows in the fog.
Yeah.
There's a man over there with his banana in his fist, and he barks like a dog, and he says, "Watch this."
Yeah, well, he looks at me and he says, and then he drops into that really gravelly tone. I actually never made a note about it, but that particular another bad dancer that won't take no for an answer. Yeah, he really drops it down into that gravelly. You can see us on every dance floor.
Unfit and sweat slick like a cancer is a fucking gorgeous line that is also disgusting.
We don't know how to. We don't know how
to grind our
hips. We don't know how to pout with our lips. We don't know how to bump and dip. But when the beat hits, then we don't give a shit. Yeah, fucking great. Just that right there is enough to have me wiggling my way through a country park hands down, no problem.
Yeah, totally.
But we must sadly leave the international.
Though you never should.
Society of Bad Dancers. You should probably never should. You should just have it on loop forever.
Yep. If you ever feel bad, just put.
But the thing is, Cats, Rats and Pigeons, track 3, is the second part of the most excellent 1-2 punch on the album, which is these two songs. And Cats, Rats and Pigeons just comes at you with... This is the point where I'm like, well, this is no longer a hip-hop album. We've definitely departed what we should be considering hip-hop, probably by halfway through track 1, definitely by halfway through track 2, and now certainly at track 3, we're nowhere near where we should be for what really should be classified. Anyway, I'm being ridiculous. The point is, this is a rock beat. This is some indie rock.
Do you know the song?
The what?
The song. It's Dirty Old Town.
Yeah, I don't know the original. No,
the original. It's an Irish folk song.
Is it
most famously done by the Pogues, I think.
Oh well, there we go.
Dubliners.
See, here you go. You're giving me this is insight I didn't have.
Yeah,
right.
So, well, I didn't quite clock it the first few times, and then I was like, hang on a fucking minute.
Yeah.
I know this. Like I started singing this the other day, and then we started singing it in the real tune.
Oh, so it's different tune, not a different tune.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna look that up later.
You should.
I will. So it's just these driving rock drums with weird electronic bleepy bloopy bits. I'm trying to stay light on synthesizer description in this review, Joe. You may know it. So there's a lot of bleepy bloopy electronic stuff going on in the back there, and it really is bleepy bloopy. That's just the best description of what it is. It's not particularly tonal. It's quite not tonal, musical. It is quite computery sounding, electronic-y, bleepy sounding. Some of the best rap verses on the album are in this song. They're really quite good. They're very simple and they're not very fast, but they have feeling and they have emotion and they have the things that I thought the rap in the first song really lacked for me. And I don't know, I really felt this. It's just the way.
The thing about the dirty old men and the dirty old heads.
Dirty old men in a dirty old town. And plus, his Australian accent really comes through here as well, which is lovely. Because it doesn't always.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a little light on subject matter. There's not a lot of depth in this song, I would say. Although I feel like there's more depth than I was clearly giving it credit for, seeing as how it's already based on a song I knew nothing about. So I could be full of shit.
It's one of those things. I think if you dig with any of these things,
I mean, influences are everywhere.
No, I'm sure if you dig, there's probably not that we're trying to, no pun intended, because a lot of this is based because it's a concept record, really. Yeah. So then some of it's like, anyway, sorry.
We have this switch up into the chorus where he switches into that very gravelly tone again. But as you've just said, this is a pre-existing song, which I didn't know, and so he's probably aping that more rock sound, that more sort of classic-y, folky vocal, maybe, who knows. And it's accompanied with some great guitar, and the second verse adds some lovely backing vocals, and it just keeps building, and it chugs along very pleasingly until it ends with a surprise brass and synth breakdown, which is the only way to describe the way this song ends. The tempo halves, everything gets really swingy, big swing thing going on, and then you've just got these big synthesizers and loads of trumpet and brass going on. Ooh, what a lovely way.
It's quite a common theme on this album that the song starts, does the song, and then has a big thing at the end where you go, like,
just has a thing,
this is a different song.
I mean, yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, track 3, and it's happened 3 times. I suppose you're right.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure it happens in most of them.
Okay.
But, though I think that's one of my least favourite things about Cat Empire stuff as well.
Oh, is that they switch up?
Yeah, like it just kind of drops off into a jazz breakdown, and you're like, this song was
enjoying
over 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Do we have to be doing this? Sometimes I really like it live. It's great. Sometimes recorded it annoys me.
So, track 4, Eliza. It starts off with these really great little synth arpeggios. Yeah, instantly little earwormy synth arpeggio that's going on, and it feels like it's headed in a pop direction straight out the gate. You know it's going that way. I've highlighted the lyric "lesbian revolutionary."
Yeah.
Not because he's talking about a lesbian he looks at the girl and he says, "She looked like a lesbian revolutionary, so tough and scary I thought I would cry." Now, this is a girl he's intending to date, which, you know, whatever you're into, man. But it turns out she fancies him and threatens to eat him for breakfast, which, you know.
I fucking love that line.
Yeah.
I eat boys fight you for breakfast, she said. Well, I said I'd like to make breakfast for you.
Yeah.
That's a fucking gorgeous
It's such
line.
a cute line. It's quite cute. It's good.
Fucking gorgeous. So you just sort of imagine them on a dance floor, kind of like slightly, faces slightly apart.
Yeah.
Just not quite looking at each other. I'd like to
make breakfast for you.
Like you can totally...
Ooh.
Yeah, you can totally see it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. And it moves from the arpeggios and it starts to build with this lovely electronic lounge jazz flamenco-y thing that's happening. The guitars are quite flamenco-y, but the beat sounds like it's the bossa nova setting on an old Casio keyboard. You know, but that really lo-fi, pingy electronic drum sound in a classic jazz pattern, which is always just a bit jarring and weird, but lovely and really, really works here. And there's some nice backing vocals coming in on the chorus, and the chorus is the most ballady pop song on the entire thing, and it has shades of Elton John, especially towards the end. I would say, especially towards the end where the strings come in. And it's the piano's doing the you know, like Crocodile Rock. Yeah, Crocodile Rock.
Yeah, you can totally feel that. Yeah.
I mean, you get a big breakbeat as well in the second half of the song. They finally let the tension build to the point where you allow proper drums, and you get a nice big thunky breakbeat coming in over everything. Yeah, I've basically just written a lot. Then they sort of head off in a weird psyche direction as well at one point with the synths. It ends up getting a bit weirdy 70s psychedelic-y as well, which is lovely. Like I say, the drums are lovely on this track. I really like those like keyboard style things. So the third verse, it takes all that instrumentation, switches it up to a bit of a darker vibe, and that highlights something that I think is there throughout the entire track, but really becomes apparent at this point. It's this tiny little key sound that they're playing over the top of the chorus. It's definitely in the chorus. I noticed it in the chorus the first time I ever listened to the song. That was when I first clocked it, and I was like, oh, that's nice. And it sounds like a toy piano, maybe something along those lines, but it sounds like somebody's tried to mimic it with a synthesizer. And it's this lovely, very high, very pingy, very airy, super light, and no low end. It's all high frequencies. It's so breathy and beautiful. It's just this little tinkly melody that's going on completely, you know, I'm not listening to anything else that's happening in the music. I'm just doing my own thing up here. This little tinkly melody. That's fucking lovely. But you really notice it in that third verse there. It really stands out because everything else gets a bit darker and lower and broodier as the song comes to a close, and the story of Eliza and how he loved her and how he can't concentrate on this new girl who he's trying to mess about because all he can think about is Eliza. And yeah, it's good, great, really good, really, really good. A nice little come down after the two previous tracks, which are pretty full on for this album anyway, very pacey tempos. And yeah, I adore that song. I absolutely adore it. Okay. Track 5, where things start to come unhinged. So this song's called Angel Dust. It starts with a really sort of crusty hip-hoppy beat, and I enjoyed that, and some weird, slightly wonky synths, slightly detuned and a bit out of, just maybe not in quite the same colour palette as the rest of the track is what I was trying to get at. I don't know. I like it. It's good. It's a bit jarring, but it's nice. The lyrics are fun, and they have this phone gimmick that runs through the track. It's fairly common practice in a lot of hip hop albums, I guess, to have
Like
these
a
sort
skit,
of
isn't it? Yeah.
skit sections, and this is essentially that within the track for this song. It's got some rap verses in it, and it's all about it's about a lot of stuff, but it's about religion in the first verse at least, and it's about sort of reconciliation between religions, and it's sort of a very abstract.
Jesus has gone
free
to the
fall.
Bahamas with Muhammad.
Yeah, Jesus,
Prophet
yeah,
to
exactly. Prophet to prophet, they want to sort some stuff out without involving everyone
Yeah.
else, basically, and it's fine. It's fine. It's pretty wet lyrical content though. It's a bit meh.
It feels nice though. to
It's
me,
it's
anyway.
lovely.
Like,
It's happy. It's upbeat,
but
it feels sort of a
the
bit.
flows. I like the flow. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. I'm just saying purely from like an impact. Those lyrics have very light impact for me.
Do you think there's a potential that because hip hop tends to be very aggressive, and this isn't,
No.
and this just for me, like this is one.
I
of
know
the
where you're
things-
going. Yeah.
It's one of those things where, like, 'cause I think we talked on the Jules episode about I really like hip hop, but I find a lot of the aggression and the grandstanding really difficult.
Yeah.
Because it just makes me feel uncomfortable, and this appeals to me probably for the fact that this is sort of, it's not as
I
dense lyrically as some of the stuff that I like.
The aggressive stuff because I like it.
Yeah.
To a point. I don't like a lot of it. Like there's a lot of hip hop that I really hate, but I actually like a lot of really chill stream of consciousness rap. Is what Jam Baxter is a prime example. We were listening to some Jam Baxter earlier before we started podding. It's often quite abstract stuff that he's rapping about, but he's so good at word bending that he can keep you hooked in on a turn of phrase. Like he can turn words so cleverly that it's just you're trying to keep up with his mind game, and that's really interesting. Whereas this is very sort of stream of consciousness-y, but it's quite simple, and I can keep up with it. But like I say, I'm not really here for him rapping. I'm here for the tunes, and again, it's a really lovely beat. And here's the most important thing about this song: the chorus, which is hands down, no doubts about it, absolutely 100% the best chorus on this album.
Okay.
It's just a shame it happened to be on this track, because this track overall is probably my least favourite track on the album. So yeah, the chorus has this really friggin' soulful vocal and this powerful piano riff that's just sort of, it's groovy and it's nice, it feels old and bluesy, and the vocals are like a chorus thing. There's a few people singing and they feel old and bluesy and just, it's so good. It's so good. But the track should have ended at 2 minutes and 26 seconds. That's where it should have ended. It should have ended there and it should have stopped. They should have stopped it after the second chorus dead. Because then they revived the phone gimmick for, I think, the third time or the fourth time. And then it's like, hey, you didn't call me back. I'm going into space and all this. It's another guy.
I really like it.
And then I thought you would. Because it's a really goofy verse.
Yeah.
And it is, and it annoys me. That verse annoys me so much. It's just cringy and bad. And it's trying to be funny, but I don't think it's funny. Maybe you do. Personally, I just find it a bit...
I like if you look into the deeper, because the whole, like, I think I like that it's a little bit lazy and shit, and it kind of...
Yeah.
Because the whole concept of the album is about other beings that are kind of monitoring us, and either from underground or from space.
Yeah.
And how we are. Like, and I think... There's also the element of he's meant to be a...
there's a bit of a storyline thread as well.
Yeah. It's not like a straight story, but there is a story. There's a thread.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's a thing, I think, later on about the fact that he's like an agent for the other thing. So I like the more... This track kind of puts me in mind more of like Janelle Monáe's kind of stuff, like the kind of weird... hip hop concept records I'm not saying it's not as good as something like Arc Android, but
that third verse doesn't add anything to me. It doesn't really give the track anything it didn't already have. What it does do is just turn me off after I'm already really pumped, because I like the first two verses, and the chorus, like I've said, I think is one of the best on the album, hands down. But that third verse, I realise he's being almost intentionally shit, but it just rubs me the wrong way, and I have to skip. I get by the time he said, "Your concepts are whack, your rhymes are whack," like you just bit. Yeah, I bet you fucking do. You fucking do.
I also like the bit where he goes, "We're off on the
spaceship, yeah,
and you're not on the spaceship." I like that bit.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It gives me a lot of pleasure because it's really funny.
I mean, the one bonus to having that terrible verse, which is vaguely amusing but mostly just cringy, is that you get to hear the chorus one more time, and that can never ever be a bad thing.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Flicker and a Spark. I love this intro. I love it. So it reminds me of El Fusilado for some reason by Chumbawamba.
Oh fuck! I love
Yeah,
I know how you do it.
Yeah, exactly. Super upbeat, super chirpy.
Because it's quite a short one, this, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's fucking lovely. Like
drops into this nice little ragga beat, this nice little bouncy reggae thing, and then the whole song's about how the children of the first world need to step up and pull their fingers out their asses and actually do something before the bombs start falling on them as well. And it's what a lovely concept for a track. It is. It's good. I genuinely enjoy this. Yeah, it's nice. It's happy. And the chorus we're treated to a bit of, after the first chorus I should say, we're treated to a bit of drum and bass with some really punchy bass, dubsteppy, more dubstep really than drum and bass, but then it builds into an actual piece of drum and bass when the breakbeat comes in, and you get these flutes, and the flutes are really lovely, which is mint. Yeah. It just builds, it's dancey and lovely, and you actually want to kind of boogie to it. And they're bringing back that the something deeper motif is back, sort of rolling around in the back of this song somewhere. Yeah, just good, solid little track there. I like it a lot. Grab a Gun, track 7. Yeah. It's got this weird folky intro, and then instantly drops you into this, again, more sort of reggae thing going on, but this is much more dance hall-y this time, a bit more electronic, a bit more hard-edged, a bit more sort of pumping and beaty, and he emphasises this by then immediately dropping into the incredibly stereotypical dance hall singer tone, basically the shaggy tone, isn't it? That sort of like the graveliness is back again, but it's a very specific. I can't mimic it. I was trying it there, and I realised that I don't know how to make my voice make that sound. It's a very unique thing, but you'd know it if you heard it. Yeah. So he drops into those ragga vocals, and there's some female backing vocals that are really, really lovely, and there's always something deeper motif that just rolled in from the last track, and it's still going. The lyrics in the second verse about global warming are a little trite.
Is it? See, the thing with this is, right, that we've literally just spent an hour and a half talking about the record by King Gizzard and Lizardwood, which you have openly said you weren't lyrically that invested in.
No.
And I would argue that they are also equally trite.
Oh, agreed.
Also cattle decapitation.
Very much.
Like, would you have said though that there is an element of it's difficult? It would be difficult to write a song about what is arguably I'll just say an issue because it's
I can play you a few that I think are really good, mostly by Gajira, who write really good songs about things like global warming and overfishing. I actually don't think cattle decapitation is that trite at writing. I mean, I think
cattle decapitation write random lines and
here's the thing. I don't hate this verse at all. I just think it's a bit. There's the whole global warming. Oh, I wish we'd hit a warning. It's like, that was yep.
I mean, it's not even really a rhyme, I suppose.
It's just sort of like the word plays a bit simple, I guess. Yeah. Is what I'm angling at, and I don't dislike it. It works well with the song, and I like this song. Yeah. It's when it gets going and you get into the chorus and you're there, or I guess it's the verse technically. I don't know. It's how the song starts. So come on everybody, grab a gun, let's be the paragon of arrogance and all that. And you got that really pumpy dance hall beat behind it with a big bass line, and that's great. I love it. It's just really high energy and it makes you want to move around.
Video's good for that, by the way.
Yeah, I've not seen it, but I will give it a look. So and then true to style, true to form, we have a jazz breakdown. There's a jazz breakdown which appears to have musical spoons in it by my ear. I'm pretty sure that's what the percussion element that you can hear really prominently when the female singer is the female backing vocalist is doing her repetitions of the something deeper motif. There's like a little and I was listening to it. I was like, that sounds like Musical Spoons. I want to believe that's Musical Spoons.
I cannot comment.
I just want to believe it is, because it seems like the kind of thing they do.
Yeah.
And even if they just like synthesized it to try and make it sound like Musical Spoons, I'm fine with that.
That seems like a weird thing to do. Doesn't
It does.
You just go to a fucking
it does.
door and grab
But then
it.
again, I'm also pretty sure they synthesized a Thai piano earlier. So who knows? But yeah, it all comes together in this big noisy outro back into the weird folky intro that they had. It just mirrors the same motif from the beginning. I like this track. I wouldn't say it's like super up there in my list, but it's good. It's absolutely solid. Intelligent, evolved, and insane. I don't know. Beat is out of control heavy on this track. This is maybe my favourite beat on the entire album, topping even the one in International Society of Bad Dancers. I think this is potentially better.
It's a great beat.
It's such a heavy,
this is the
bassy, rumbly beat.
Well, this is the most on the nose kind of lizard people who live under the ground.
This is fucking This is the lyrical content, and this song just takes a complete pitch off into Bizarro land where they start.
This is the Janelle Monáe thing, though. For me, this is the sci-fi hip hop concept thing that really coming to a head.
Yeah.
Like,
if this is your idea of sci-fi hip hop, you're gonna.
I'm not saying it is, but this is for this album.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's great. And I really enjoy this song. I just want to read what I've written there because I quite enjoyed writing it, and now I'm going to read it. It tickles my bass gland happy, but also tickles the funk groove vibe. So there you go. It's I love these sort of the underground, the freak lyrics. Their whole sort of idea of we're the freaks. Why? Because we live in the underground. But that's not a real underground, though, is it? That's a concept of underground. That's you live in the underground music scene, not and that's quite nice. I do enjoy that, especially because obviously he's talking about us really living underground. And also there's a brown note joke later in the song, which cracks me up. It's a
lovely brown note joke.
Yeah. So just quickly, I wondered if you knew what NPC was before you read what you're reading right now. Because the chorus is delivering the message via NPC.
Yeah, no,
intelligence for the denizens of the deep. So an NPC is there was a popular sampler made by Akai, and it was basically instrumental in the birth of hip hop, in the original grounding of the. And people used back then they were like these huge grey boxes that took floppy disks with your samples on, and then you had these like 16 pads that you could play like drums, and they're still around now. Obviously, sans floppy disk and with USB, and they're still wildly popular amongst hip hop producers. Because they allow for that sort of. It's how they got a lot of the swing and the groove into drum beats in hip hop tracks that were sampled, when at the time it would have been very hard to do it with a sequencer or in a computer.
So it's that humanization.
You could. Well, exactly. This is it. It's humanization because it's being played in. But it's an electronic sample, so that you can get that sort of the flowy, groovy nature of these kinds of beats. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting because I heard it instantly, went yes, NPC, I know what that is, and then I thought, oh, would Joe know what that is though if he'd listened to this?
I assumed it was a frequency thing.
Yeah, no, it's a sampler. So there you go. Yeah, there you go. Now you know, fun little bit of knowledge for that. So yeah, that beat was one of the best beats on the album, hands down. It gives me. Noisia vibes. It reminds me of the original version of Block Control by Noisia, which we might have a little bit of now, maybe. It's going down. So yeah, it's a little less headbangy than that, and also probably a little less heavy in general. And it's not a drum and bass track, but it reminds me of that bass line. Just I don't know. It just in my head I was like, it sounds like Block Control by the Noisia. So yeah, this is while I was writing my notes. This is why I'd come where the point in the album I'd come to the conclusion that actually there's some sort of storyline going on here between the songs. There's some interlinking apart from the general motifs. There seems to be this interlinking idea of. An oncoming war and an apocalypse, and people from underground and people from the sky and people on Earth, and yeah, it was really. I kind of had a little eureka moment earlier while I was writing. I was like, oh my god, how have I not noticed that?
Yeah, I'm slightly surprised you haven't come to that yet.
I hadn't until literally an hour before you showed up.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. So track 9, because there's quite a few tracks in this.
There is. It's a big album.
Down to the River. Now maybe you can help me here, because I don't know how to describe this piano lick. I've written Hootenanny Country Blues, but it's like it's a very specific thing, and I know there's a name for it.
Honky tonk.
Maybe that's what I'm looking. Yes, yeah, no, that is what I'm looking for. Honky tonk.
I'm not 100% confident.
No. That sounds like what I'm trying to say.
But it's got that kind of status quo kind of.
Yeah. Four chords of the wind. Three chords of the wind.
Well, it's very it's very 12-bar blues, isn't it? It's very.
I guess maybe that's what I was looking for. 12-bar blues. Who knows? Either way, that's what it is, and it's real good. There's this piano riff comes in. It's very much in that sort of style, which we're trying to describe but failing to find a name for. And it's backed up with this really deep bass line that's really, really low frequency. And I'd noticed it, but I hadn't noticed it as much as I noticed it when I was listening to it on my speakers while I was writing notes at my PC compared to on my headphones. There's quite a lot of bass there, more than I was expecting. These nice chunky drums just to back up this piece of piano, and then over the top of this, you've got Harry doing his best pop vocal right from back at track 1, right from all the best bits of clean vocals that he's done all the way through, and this song is delivered wonderfully. It's really, really nice vocal work on this one. It's just a love song, really. It's a pretty basic love song, and it's super vanilla in the lyric department, and that's fine.
You said trust me.
Yeah. It's such a weird departure from some of the other tracks.
This is a much more like a standard pop song.
Yeah,
there's a lot less dub. Like I feel like there's a lot of a dub kind of thing going on.
Dub and reggae, dancehall,
a lot
of jazz.
Yeah, whereas this is a bit more straightforward. And I'm trying to think. This song kind of puts me in mind a little bit of the Car song, maybe from the Cat Empire's second album, or like there's a couple of the ones where you can tell it's just basically Harry and a piano. And the rest of the band have kind of added bits in, but it's mostly like it's basically a sort of bluesy, jazzy kind of song, just kind of left to its own devices.
But then he drops the magic word, which is that we should go deeper, and suddenly it's not anymore. Suddenly we've warped into electro land.
Yeah,
completely left field electro, bleepy bloopies, detuned synths and weirdness, which then ends up being mashed back together with the original bluesy sound, and suddenly it's like this like a old, and I'm saying old because we're now in 2019, but at the time it was probably relevant, sort of jazzy house track is what ends up kind of happening, or honky tonky house track, however you want to describe it, piano led, quite housey pop banger really, where he's just he's giving it the beans over the top. And there's some lovely noisy brass stuff towards the end, which, at this point has become pretty standard for these tracks. Track 10, Fire on the Bird. It's this little slow buildy electro jam. It doesn't really go anywhere and not much happens. It's nice, but I have nothing to say.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. It's it's just a collection of sounds all kind of...
Yeah, a lot of the motifs from across the album, and the Fire is on the Bird coming back for the second time because it gets used at the beginning of Cats, Rats and Pigeons, and other than that, it's never mentioned again. Whereas going deeper is constantly mentioned, which is weird because the name of the album is anyway. 11, Wax World, beautiful acoustic piece, sorrowful and subtle, and it builds into a really nice chorus with just enough synth and percussion to bring it together without overpowering that initial croony beauty.
I love this song so much. It's so beautiful.
The lyrics I've highlighted here is I'm just a hairy man in the waxed world, which is clearly to me in real life, for me in real life to handle. No, it's too real. I just know.
Yeah, I totally. Do you know what it is? I love. It's one of those things where sometimes the analogies you get for not fitting in are a bit tired. And this is a beautiful...
It's a lovely one, yeah.
It's a really... Because
he's a very hairy man.
He's a very hairy man, in fairness. If you see photos of Harry, he's a very hairy man.
Yeah.
And the world is waxed to fuck.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. It's such a lovely song. You're just another face in the crowd. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love this song.
It has this really nice classic golden era hip hop beat with some well placed brass from Harry again, just in there. It's really chill, and I love the bass groove in it. What a great piece of music. Yep. Again, probably not one of my favourites on the album. I like it a lot, but I don't like it as much as The Future is the Past, and it'll last for as long as it lasts. So, really electro-y hip-hop beats straight out the gate, no messing about. Some weird lyrics about space. I'm in, that's it. Pete's sorted, I'm done. That's it, I'm happy now. It's pretty straightforward. But it has this catchy, bluesy chorus. The future is the past, and it'll last for as long as it lasts. And it's the backing vocals that give it that vibe. These big sort of chorusy backing vocals that are coming in behind him. And I like the bit at the end where it's like, I want to see what life is like when there's no air, no light, no sound. No, air's last, isn't it? Because no air, and I'm like, well, life with no air would be shit.
Yeah. Is it not love? Is it not what love is like?
It sounds like he says what love is like, but I don't think that's what he says.
I always thought it was what love is like with no vision, no light, no television, no air.
Yeah, but I don't think it is love. I think it's life. And I think it's his accent getting in the way. I don't know why I think that.
I'm going to maintain that it is love.
Okay, that's fair.
But we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Until one of us Googles.
Either that, or I always sing life, and he says love.
Editor Joe.
Yeah.
We haven't heard from him for a while.
Yeah.
Which of us is right? I was just about to go to bed before I got to this bit of the recording, and now I'm going to have to do this. Unsurprisingly, as usual, Joe is right. I had assumed it would be me.
That works either way. That's clever. Good job.
Yeah, that's a good little...
Well, I had assumed it would be.
Yeah. We could just Google it now, couldn't we? But I'm not going to.
Nah.
No.
We're almost at the end, Joe.
You've not had a clip yet, Pete.
Oh, I'll do my clip.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
At the end. Do you know what? Feck it now. I'll do my clip now since you've reminded me. I don't know what I want.
All right, okay.
I was hoping I'd discover what I wanted. And I just kept because every one of these was with a little love heart next to the title is what I like.
There's a lot more of these than usual.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
This is
like there's a lot of tracks on this album that I'm totally into. Let's fuck it. I'm gonna have Elijah. I'll just have Elijah because it's such a weird contrast to the rest of the sort of hip hoppy stuff on the album and the more banging in your face stuff. Eliza is such a lovely laid back Elton John worship pop track that I'm gonna let that one go, and I'll have the last the last bit where the pianos come in and it's giving me the Crocodile Rock vibes, please.
Okay.
That's what I want.
Right, Eliza.
She said you'll never love me. I said I do, but I knew the deep in my eyes I was a lie. She whispered something in my ear as we loved. I didn't hear. I was too in love. She whispered something in my
I was too in love with Eliza.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Where was I? We were talking about the future in the past.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry, I didn't. I thought.
No,
I felt like you were done with that track, so
I kind of was. Just wanted to say that on the third verse of The Future is the Past. Oh, the lyrics get a little squirrely. Yeah, they do. They get a little weird. He starts getting meta. He starts rapping about rapping, and that's not good. Nobody cares about whether you write raps that make sense. Just sing us nice songs, please. It's not really a major thing, and it's only one little bit of the song, and it doesn't particularly bother me.
We know, Pete, you can't have a fully positive reaction to any song.
There's no perfect here, and this is not a specific thing I'm picking out about this song. It's something that happens multiple times across the album. That it's just part of the way he writes, and I don't hate it. It's not like it makes me go, "Ooh, God, that's awful. I'm turning it off." I just go, "That was a shame," and then I go, "And the future is the past, and it'll last for as long." I'm straight back in the vibe. It doesn't really bother me. It's such an uplifting track. It's so happy and uplifting. It makes me feel great while I'm out and about and walking my dog. It's got this lovely big brassy outro. Again, I've probably said the word brass and brassy a million times.
There's a lot of brass on this album, though.
So much fucking brass.
That's a really fair.
There's a really nice tinkly piano, and it fades out on some weird synths and pianos and vocal harmonies. It's just lovely. Last track, track 13, "The Lonely You," which is a lovely song title. I don't have a lot to say. It's a touching, emotional, clearly very personal piece of music, what he done, and I like it a lot, and I find it incredibly nice and relaxing to listen to. But it's about emotions and stuff, and it's a ballady bit of rock, and well, that's about it, really. Nothing happens. They don't do a surprise drop into weird Arabian techno halfway through.
That's the surprise.
Yeah, that's a surprise is that nothing happens.
Wait, where was the beat?
They just cruise their way out on this lovely, croony little track all the way to the end of the album.
Yeah.
And then that's it. That's the end. They sort of lower you gently to the end. They don't drop you. They just, there you go. Now you're on the ground, and it's over. Closing thoughts. I enjoyed it way more than I expected to. It's definitely going to stay in the rotation.
Good.
I'm going to buy it.
I'm very pleased to hear that. It's quite difficult to get hold of. I think you can get it. It's one of those ones that's quite addictive. I don't actually own it.
Oh fuck!
I've had to listen to it on Spotify because I couldn't get hold. This is the same reason
I couldn't find it on Spotify.
It is on there because their second album I couldn't find anywhere until I got Spotify, and that's the only way I've listened to. I've listened to about half of that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have the same. It doesn't grab me in the same way, and I kind of haven't
gone back.
Carried on. Yeah, I haven't carried on with it, but I do like it. It's got some nice vibes, but it's not. It doesn't grab me in the same way.
They've not released anything since like 2008.
They're not really. I don't think they're active anymore. I think it's.
But they're still listed as active.
Well, I think it's one of those. I think Harry because Harry is one of those. But he still makes a lot of records with the Cat Empire. They've just got a new album out actually, Stolen Diamonds. That's literally just out last week. He's another album of his own that's just out as well, which I still haven't got round to, because he's just one of those. He's quite a prolific maker of music, and he's like like I said before, in the same vein as someone like Devin Townsend, who literally he has his name in many pies. That's not how the phrase works.
Yeah, I know what you're saying though. He's in many musical pies.
Many musical sort of toes dipped into the musical river.
Yes,
and he creates an awful lot. As I was just saying to you before, we've been following the musical act Tripod since we were about 14.
Oh God, years, yeah.
And I was watching one of their videos from a late 90s Australian variety show called The Sideshow, which I think was on the ABC.
Ah, yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah.
It had a lot of cool acts on there.
Yeah, and the song that they have, funnily enough, about climate change, also features Harry and Felix from the Cat Empire, which I only just realised when I was watching it, and I've been watching that video. Like, that's one of my favourite Tripod songs. It's on a regular rotation. I listen to that quite often, and weirdly, I was just like, hold on a fucking minute. Who's that playing the bongos? Why have I never noticed that that's the bloke from the Cat Empire one? So that's strange. But yeah, he's just one of those. His soul is music.
Yes.
And I think his work kind of
just does.
Yeah.
Whatever he's feeling.
Not necessarily restricted to a genre, but he's definitely a very jazzy,
hip hoppy, worldy boy. Yeah, reggae.
Yeah, like a big music sponge.
Yeah, and this album's great. Like, I don't care who you are. If you like music and have ears, you should probably try this. It's
definitely
super accessible.
Yeah. Is this the most successful pairing we've ever had?
I think this is the only time we've ever both loved the shit out of something. Maybe.
True.
That's not true. What did you give me when I gave you Neutral Milk?
I gave you Dandelion.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So probably since then.
It didn't sound like it.
Didn't it?
If you listen to that review, you sound like you hated it, and then you spent 45 minutes picking out all the faults, and then went, so I really like this. And hopefully it releases more stuff soon.
Well, the thing is, like, I guess I focus in on those negative things, but I really did enjoy Dandelion, and I really have enjoyed this. And yeah, I have harped on his lyric writing, and I have mentioned maybe a couple of bits and pieces that I didn't think were the best. But that's not. Every album has bits that I don't think are the best. Devin Townsend albums, I mean, I love Devin Townsend, but most of his albums have at least one song that I skip every time, without fail. You know?
Yeah. So.
And this album, the only one I skip is the back minute of one track.
That's not bad going then.
It's pretty good going, really.
Yeah, and it's fair enough.
Yeah. No, nothing's ever perfect.
True.
Right. Shall we get to the business of recommendations?
Yeah, I'd say so. Jingle! Okay, so next time you hear from us, you aren't... this is directed at you, the listener, not to you, Pete.
Of
the
course.
Next time you hear from us will probably be just by text message.
Yeah.
The next time you, the listener, hear from us, Pete and Joe, at the Taste Funny podcast, will not be a specific album recommendation.
No.
We are going to be visiting... We're going to be revisiting, collectively, the work of the Men That Will Not Be Blamed for Nothing, who are a steampunk a steampunk band,
Yeah.
basically.
Basically, it's going to be a lot of talk about Victorians and stovepipe hats,
Yeah.
and then we're going to go see them play a real live performance.
Yes, we are. So my recommendation to you, Peter, your challenge, should you choose to accept it,
is to bone up and listen to the new album.
Bone up, listen to just listen to everything again. We'll have a quick chat about a little retrospective of their work.
Excellent.
And a little chat about the gig. It might not be interesting. It might be interesting. Those are the two options you've got when it comes to our output. And thank you very much for listening to this episode of Taste Funny, and we'll see you for the next one.
See you later, guys.
Bye now.
So he built me a steamship and he built it well. He was his bard kingdom. Through now, he built me a steamship and he built it well. He's a bard, he's a bard, he's a bard, he's a bard, he's a bard kingdom. Through now, he's a bard kingdom. Through now, he's a bard kingdom. Through now, he built me a steamship and he built it well.
Taste Funny podcast was presented and devised by Peter McHugh and Joe McLachlan. Music was by The X Towels.